impressive in the main event. What do you need to do to make a deep run here today?
I guess I'm going to be lucky enough to win flips.
What do you know about Liv's game?
We played each other 2 or 3 times, I think, but only in full ring tournament, so I never played a heads up. I don't know. We'll see.
Liv, let's move over to you. Did you get a chance to see Gail play this summer?
I certainly did, yeah. I was very impressed. I've never seen how she plays heads up, so it's going to be an interesting experience, and may the best woman win.
Well, good luck to both of you.
Thank you.
Let's get the cards in the air.
And with that, we say welcome, Matt Vasgersian, along with Ali Najat. A rare occurrence tonight for just the 5th time in 473 career NBC heads-up matches. 2 women square off here at the National Heads-Up Poker Championship.
Yeah, it's pretty cool them putting us at the feature table. I didn't expect that.
Plans are going to start out.
Marie, best known for the €1.25 million she banked at the 2010 EPT main event in San Remo. She actually roomed with fellow heads-up participants, Maria Ho and Vanessa Russo, during the 2012 World Series, a World Series where Gail Bowman burst onto the scene with a 10th place finish in the main event. She banked almost $600,000 for that showing.
And Liv takes Gail's big blind on the first hand.
Raised it up with deuce-3 suited. Gail had queen 4 suited. That's certainly within the range of hands you can expect someone to play, but she's starting the match off conservatively.
10-7 for Gail.
600.
And she raises to 600. Connecting cards for Liv.
Call 600.
She makes the call. And we'll see our first flop in this match. And Liv flops a full house.
Yikes. Gail's got an open-ended straight draw. Liv obviously going to check and throw her some rope. Understandably, Gail's going to bet the draw.
750.
750 to Liv. And she puts in a raise to 2,100.
Some deception value to the check raise on the flop with a full house. But Liv, of course, is taking the risk that she would just let Gail Bowman muck air here, as opposed to flat calling and keeping her in.
Gail made the call and the turn. King of diamonds. And now Gail's officially drawing dead.
5,400 in the middle. Something in the 2 to 2,500 range. Would be nice and tempting for Gail to continue.
That's a bigger bet, 3,800 from Liv.
Might be designed to look bluffish and induce a playback from Gail here.
Well, she gets a call.
26% of the chips in play are in the middle right now, and we're only 2 hands in.
River's an ace of diamonds.
And Liv's just praying that Gail is backed into a flush here and will give her action.
And Liv puts in a bigger bet, 6,500.
It's exactly half the pot.
Gail folds. And Liv takes down a nice pot.
And got Gail to commit a lot of chips on the turn with just that straight draw on a paired board.
Burry out to the early lead, increasing her starting stack of 25K to almost 32,000. First blind level is 150 and 300, giving players more than 80 big blinds. And it seems ever since Chris Moneymaker's 2003 win, the game of choice in poker's been No Limit Texas Hold'em. 3 chips in play, including purple and whites, worth 500. 3 main event champions in the Diamonds bracket, including 10-time bracelet winner Doyle Brunson.
Well, it's tough to imagine given where we are today, but Doyle once withdrew from a World Series of Poker tournament in the mid-'70s when the TV cameras and press came over because he didn't want the publicity. He said there was a stigma of being a gambler and a poker player at the time. But in no small part, due to guys like Doyle, there is no longer that sort of stigma.
And Doyle holds the early chip lead in his first-round match against 2010 Card Player Magazine Player of the Year Tom Marchese. And with suited ace-7, puts in a raise to 600.
Like just about everyone in this tournament and poker everywhere, Tom is sure to have read Doyle's wildly popular Super System series of poker books.
Flop 9, 10, 8, an open-ended straight draw for Marchese, inside straight draw for Doyle. Check, check into the turn, pair of 9s on the board. 2 more quick checks. The river, jack of hearts, both players make a straight. Doyle's got the better hand.
Well, now he's going to show some interest in this pot. going to be hard for Marchese to go away.
Yep, Doyle bet 1,200, and Marchese pays him off.
Not the way he was looking to start this match.
You live in London now?
Yeah.
I mean, getting recognized here since, like, all the main event coverage?
Yeah, a bit, yeah. In London, actually.
Really? That's cool.
Liv lives in London herself.
Cab drivers are the ones that always recognize me. Like, it's not... I don't get recognized very much.
Suited 6-4 for Gail. She raises.
They're usually the people.
Suited Queen 10 for Liv. And she makes the call.
Barry enjoying a better than 3-2 chip lead, courtesy of that full house earlier in the match.
But it's Bowman that enjoys this flop. A big one for her. Top pair and a straight flush draw.
Needless to say, she's going to fire.
700 to Liv. And she makes the call.
Well, that's interesting. Liv is floating here. It's not that she thinks Queen High is good. She just wants to get to this turn card and find out what Gail's going to do now that she's checked it to her.
Interesting turn card. Gail improves to 2 pair, but now Liv also has a flush draw. 1,500 to Liv, and she makes the call.
Now, Liv could have made a play at this pot on the turn, but the board texture is dangerous with 4 to a straight out there.
River's a deuce of spades. It pairs the board, and Liv makes her flush.
If the texture wasn't the best for Gail on the turn, it's even worse on the river.
Showdown.
Understandably, she checks behind, and Barry rolls over the Queen High flush. Perhaps frustrated that she didn't lead out.
Barry takes down the pot, and Liv is living right early in her first round match. 7 other matches in progress as the Diamonds bracket is underway. Well, this past summer, Frances Gail Bowman nearly made World Series of Poker history when she almost became the second woman ever to make the main event final table. Tonight, she's paired with another female in Liv Barry as they compete in the first round. But Ali, as we know, 2 female players, but not the same style necessarily.
Not at all. Liv Barry is a seasoned tournament player, and she has a very impressive resume. And her victories have come as a result of being the aggressor. Given what we've seen of Gail Bowman on her way to that effort to make the final table at the main event, she's a very patient player. I think that is not going to serve her well here against Liv. I like Barry through to the next round.
And Liv with a better than 2-to-1 chip advantage over Gail Bowman here. Jack 4 offsuit.
Liv taking her time to assess the situation before looking at her hole cards.
750.
She puts in a raise. Suited King Jack for Gail.
Bad timing to have Jack 4 offsuit. You know Gail's not going anywhere. And she might be thinking 3-bet here. Haven't seen that from Gail thus far in the match. This is the best hand she's had pre-flop.
And she puts in a raise to 2,100.
2,100 total.
Seldom do we see a player in position on the button release a hand, but I don't know that I'd be entirely against the idea of just pitching the Jack 4 offsuit if I were Liv.
Well, how about a big re-raise instead to 4,900?
I actually like that better. If she thinks Bowman is making a play at her, this is the correct response. Wow.
Bowman folds.
That's a great example of why being aggressive is so effective in heads-up poker.
Back to Doyle Brunson and Tom Marchese, where Doyle enjoys a roughly 2-to-1 chip advantage. Queen 6 for Tom, and he puts in a raise to 650. Suited King Queen for Doyle.
He's got Marchese's hand in a world of hurt pre-flop.
Seems to be working.
Unlike Gail, he's not going to be putting in a 3-bet.
Flop is 10-4 Jack, a couple of hearts, and an open-ended straight draw for Doyle, who checks.
2 overcards along with the straight draw. Marchese doesn't make the continuation bet and now picks up a flush draw on the turn, as well as a gut shot straight draw. Little does he know the 9 would be no good. Neither would the queen.
1,300.
Doyle bets 1,300.
A heart, of course, would give him the winner, as you see Tom call the 1,300.
And the river. 9 of clubs. Again, both players make a straight. Doyle sitting on the higher straight.
If this looks familiar, it's with good reason. Marchese already ran into a similar spot with 8, 9, 10 jack on a board. He had a 7. Doyle had a queen.
But this is lightning striking twice. Doyle bets 3,500, and once again, he gets paid.
Tom shaking his head, just wondering what he did to get this unlucky so far in this match. As Doyle extends his chip lead to better than 3-1.
You take a look now at the first all-in the Diamonds bracket. Matt Matros ahead in the hand, but facing elimination. Brian Hastings looking to advance.
Jack, deuce of spades.
Top pair against middle pair.
We will look at the turn.
And Hastings hits one of his 5 outs with an ace of spades.
Why is this event like such a bad beat magnet?
We go to the river.
Matros with just 2 outs once to stay alive.
It's a
Rivers of 5 of clubs, and that means that the 2012 WSOP heads-up champion Brian Hastings is moving on in the tournament.
And he awaits the victor of the Ellie Lesra-Nick Schulman match.
In a battle of first-timers, it's Brian Hastings who takes a turn 2 pair into the next round as Matros heads home to Brooklyn. Welcome back to the 2013 National Heads Up Poker Championship presented by WSOP.com. Inside the poker room at Caesars Palace, Las Vegas, and back to our featured table where Liv Boeree continues to lead Gail Bowman. Blinds are up to 2 and 400 here in the Diamonds bracket. Ace-King for Gail. She puts in a raise to 800.
Still a min raise with the blinds having gone up. Pretty ugly holding for Liv Boeree.
And look at this. She will put in a re-raise to 2,700.
2,700.
Well, better to 3-bet and try to win it right here than smooth call. And I don't think Gail's going anywhere.
All in.
No, Gail's raising all in.
How much did you got? 13.
Boeree's asking for a count, but it's hard to imagine she's going to call with 9 deuce off.
It's all right. Just approximately? Just approximately, what was it? Like?
Oh, 85, 95, 10,700.
10,700. Okay.
She folded anyway, but still wanted the count.
That's the lazy way to find out what your opponent has. Heads up, when you know what the starting stacks are, you can always just count your own and do the math.
Suited connecting cards for Liv here, 6-5 of clubs. True to form, she raises. Ace-Jack for Gail.
Another big ace. And she hasn't been content to just smooth call in these spots. She likes to 3-bet. So this is a different look. She's just calling with the ace-jack.
And the flop, 6 deuce 9, no clubs, but Liv pairs are 6.
Yeah, not Gail's favorite flop by any stretch. Knuckles over to Liv, and needless to say, she's going to bet with middle pair. But what do you do now if you're Gail? You don't want to just check fold. It's tough to hit a pair, and the board texture is such that you don't need to be too intimidated.
Gail makes the call. Turns a 10 of spades.
So now it's going to be a little tougher for Liv to bet on the turn. But that's not going to slow her down. With 3rd pair on the board, she is reaching for chips.
And she bets 1,700.
1,700.
Well, credit Gail for laying down there. If she calls the 1,700 on the turn, she's then got to worry about potentially being faced with an even bigger bet on the river.
Back to Tom Marchese and Doyle Brunson. Trade deuce of clubs for Tom, and he'll put in a raise.
Not the tastiest slice of the deck. Same applies for Doyle's 7-5 off.
I'm all in.
All in.
Oh, he's going to put Tom all in. And that gets a quick fold from Tom Marchese.
And that draws the curtain rather quickly on that particular pot. You get the feeling Brunson may have picked up on something.
You know, Marchese might not seem like a controversial figure, but a couple of tweets he put out recently had some of the poker community thinking otherwise. He reacted to the heads-up selections and took a shot at some of poker's older generation.
You can understand him feeling defensive about the idea that some of the older players were able to generate tons of revenue from these huge sponsorships, and not quite as much the case for his generation.
Well, a chance for him to perhaps knock off the senior statesman himself here. He's going to have to come from behind to do it. Doyle with Jack 7 is raised to 800. Marchese suited Jack 5. He'll call.
Marchese's body language is so defeated right now.
5-9 tray on the flop. Marchese pairs his 5.
Check.
Fortunate bink on the flop there to make the best hand as he slides it over to Doyle.
Doyle bets 1,300.
1,300.
That's a pretty big bet into a pot of 1,600. He doesn't need to make the bet that big.
And Tom calls. The turn brings another 5. 3 of a kind now for Marchese, and Doyle's drawing dead.
Tom checks the second time, and Doyle won't commit that second bullet.
River 7 of spades.
Well, Doyle improves to 7s and 5s.
Check.
Still not the best hand, and Tom checks it to him. Now, Doyle's got to wonder whether or not Tom could possibly have a 9 or a 5, or if this isn't something more in the neighborhood of a 3. And you can tell that's what Doyle is thinking if he's willing to bet the river.
He bet 1,800.
All in.
All in
And Tom will raise all in.
That should make quick work of Doyle's hand. Almost no chance that Jack 7 is good if Tom's willing to check ship the end. Doyle doesn't seem convinced, though.
I'll call.
All in.
Wow, he calls, and Tom Marchese's going to double up here.
Tom's willingness to check the river and risk having Doyle check back ended up earning him max value.
So a much-needed double up there. Reigning main event champ Greg Merson looking for the same, and he's in rough shape. He needs the jack of spades on the river, or else Joe Sirach is on to the next round.
This is just better than drawing dead. One outer.
And it does not come on the river. Joe Sirach moves on to the round of 32.
Awaiting him there will be the victor of the Mosin Charania Huckleberry Seed match.
Marchese makes the most of trip 5s, while Merson misses out on round 2 in his heads-up debut.
If I had to retire from poker tomorrow,
This is what keeps me up at night already.
Am I allowed to teach poker? Be a professional craps player? That's sports.
I don't know if we have enough time for that.
Probably I would just continue traveling everywhere. Travel and relax. Relax.
Play a lot of golf. I'd spend a lot of time on the golf course.
Spend the rest of my life being a rock guitarist.
Maybe Chihuli's apprentice in glass blowing.
Work in the venture capital world.
stocks or something.
Back into trading and dealing with the stock market.
I guess I'd like to use my business degree from Duke.
Go into some kind of business or some kind of teaching.
I'd probably write.
Spend time with my family.
Work with an orphanage and help kids.
The restaurant business, believe it or not.
Probably take some acting classes.
Go back to my day job, which is making motion pictures enjoyed by millions of people around the world.
If I had to retire from poker, I wouldn't, because I plan on never retiring.
Ali, have you ever heard of a poker player retiring?
Not voluntarily.
Indeed.
You know, the truth is most people wish they could retire from their jobs to play poker.
Tom Marchese years away from any potential retirement. Suited 10-8, he's going to raise here to 800.
Years and hundreds of thousands of dollars.
He makes the call, does Doyle.
Got about a 3-2 chip advantage, does Brunson.
And he's got a pair of aces on the flop here.
Nothing doing for Marchese, but he'll take his shot at the pot.
He bets 1,000. Doyle calls. Turns a king of spades. Intriguing card for Marchese. Now a jack brings him a straight. A spade gives him a flush.
It's an unfortunate card for Tom insofar as it's going to cause him to invest more chips into a pot that Doyle certainly isn't going to give up on right now.
3,000 to Doyle.
It's only unfortunate, though, if Marchese doesn't get there.
Doyle calls.
Plenty of outs for Tom. Spade or a jack will give him the best hand.
Instead of 5 of diamonds on the river.
And now with 9,600 in the middle, what do you do when Doyle checks to you? Do you give up or do you show some heart? Tom's stack is not very deep here. He'd hate to just relinquish this pot.
7,500.
Wow.
7,500.
Fires off 7,500.
That's gutsy, and that gives Doyle a little bit of a dilemma here. He's got an ace and no kicker. What would Tom fire 3 barrels with, other than just a lot of heart? Could this be busted clubs? Could it be air? Oh!
So after a likely combination of real consternation and showmanship, Doyle folds his hand.
Marchese's got some breathing room now, and if he goes on to win this match, he'll likely point to this hand as the turning point.
It's a nearly 3-to-1 chip advantage, meanwhile, for Liv Boeree, who continues to lead Gail Bowman. Ace-5 for Gail.
Blinds aren't so high that Gail doesn't have an opportunity to still play poker here.
His blinds are at 3 and 600. Liv has raised and re-raised frequently in this match, and it looks like she's measuring out a re-raise here.
Wow, Boeree really must think she can win every single hand against Gail. And it certainly worked out there. The 3-bet gets Gail off of ace-5.
Let's take our first and perhaps last look at defending heads-up champion Erik Seidel. He is way behind in the hand and in the match. Tom Dwan looking to advance. And the flop is king tray 9, couple of spades.
Not what I expected from this match, given that Seidel has won 11 of his last 12 in this event.
Erik needs a 10 to chop and avoid going home. Rivers of 5 of diamonds, and Tom Dwan will advance to the round of 32.
First round exit for Erik Seidel. That's going to hurt a lot of brackets out there.
The very next table, heads up rookie Dan Smith, looking to eliminate one of the toughest tournament players on the circuit today, Jason Mercier.
Ace-Jack for Jason, 2 9s for Dan Smith, a fair fight.
Mercier's got 2 overs to the pair. We see this a lot in this event.
Flop is deuce 5-9, a set of 9s for Smith.
That smile on Smith's face for good reason. Mercier needs to hit 2 perfect cards to stay alive.
And that does it. Queen of spades on the turn. And Dan Smith advances into the round of 32.
And Smith has got a date with one of the 2 ladies from the Boeree-Bowman match next.
Did you ever play with Benny Spindler? That German kid?
Yeah, I have. He's really crazy. I'm surprised you would know who he is. You played with him sometime?
I played one in London. I played with him. He won it. He made 7-bet a guy, and the guy threw his hand away. And he turned over King Jack.
Yeah.
7-bet.
I know. Trust me,
there had to be some history there or something. Because the guy had half of his chips in there. They kept mini raising.
Yeah, that's kind of ridiculous. But, yeah.
The 7-bet certainly wasn't around when Doyle started his poker career.
No Limits played completely different in Europe, I think.
Doyle calls with his 8s. Marchese with the slight chip lead and Jack 9. And a raise.
I'm all in.
Doyle raises all in.
Oh, the limp ship.
I was ready that time, bud.
Earns Doyle 1,900.
All right. But, yeah, the game is played way more aggressive over there, I think. Like, tournament poker here is tighter. And
Doyle back in the lead here. Blinds moving up between Boeree and Bowman, up to 4 and 800 now.
Gail hovering around that 20 big blind area. Still has play.
Live with 5-4 offsuit. And why not put in a raise?
She's staying true to form, out of position, on the button, always being the aggressor.
Ace-8 for Gail. She calls.
Call.
Gail really has allowed Liv to dictate this match.
Flop is 8, 6, 10. Interesting flop. Gail Bowman pairs her 8, and now Liv Boeree has an inside straight draw.
She's got the bad end of it. The 7 would allow a player with a 9 to have a better straight.
2,200.
Boeree betting 2,200 after Gail checks to her, and Gail with a quick call.
On the flop, 10-6-8.
To the turn. Ace is up now for Bowman.
Third club on the board gives both players a flush draw. Gale's his best. She checks. Liv shuts down.
To the river, a jack of spades.
If Gale bets here, that'll be the end of this hand. She fires 3,800. Liv understandably pitching 5 high. And Gale Bowman trying to make a late charge. Lady skill on display at the featured table here at Caesars Palace.
Welcome back to Caesars Palace, Las Vegas. Resetting the Diamonds bracket. 4 players have advanced, 4 matches still in action.
Little surprising to see Nick Schulman down huge to Ellie Alesra, but in heads-up poker, there certainly isn't any given Sunday element.
As for Tom Marchese and Doyle Brunson, it is the senior statesman that holds a slight chip advantage as we take you back inside the poker room.
I'd hit for Nick. He was willing to take Nick at 1.45 to 1 in the Nick versus Ellie match. Seems crazy.
You can call it man.
Tom and Doyle discussing the state of affairs in that Schulman-Alesra match.
And Doyle looking at a nice hand, ace, queen of diamonds.
Raise.
He will raise to 2,000. Tom's also suited jack 9. And Marchese calls.
Doyle's got about a 5,000 chip edge here.
And the flop. A couple of diamonds for Doyle while Marchese pairs his 9.
Tom has the best hand, but Doyle's actually the favorite right now because he's got 2 overcards to Tom's 9s to go with his flush draw.
Tom checks to Doyle, who bets 2,500. And Tom makes the call.
Up to 9,000 in the pot.
Turns a 5 of hearts.
Irrelevant card. Marchese content to slip it over to Doyle and see what happens, and Doyle checks back, hoping to improve, and indeed he does on the river.
Queen of hearts on the river, Doyle with the higher pair. Marchese leads out for 2,800.
Feels like a defensive bet. He doesn't have Doyle on a king.
That could have been the all-in pot if you had anything.
Just a 9.
Doyle calls and wins the hand.
By betting out on the river, Marchese is able to limit the damage as opposed to the size of the bet Doyle was likely to make if Tom check called.
So Doyle Brunson scoops up another pot, something he's been doing for almost 60 years and with no signs of letting up.
Doyle Brunson, to me, is the godfather of poker.
But he's also kind of the grandfather of poker.
The guy's been around for decades.
He's been around the game since like the 1800s.
Doyle played in games where people had guns under the table.
I think he was there when the game actually got invented.
He was the first person to write a phenomenal book on the game.
He wrote the original Bible of poker, Super System.
And that kind of kickstarted the evolution of poker.
Doyle Brunson has done everything for this game.
He has done so much for the game. He really helped bring poker into the mainstream.
Anyone in the world, thinks of poker, they think of him.
Doyle's the man.
He's a funny guy. He makes me laugh.
Most parties that I'm at, I'm hanging out with him.
He's the only person I've ever been really starstruck to see in the poker universe.
A guy that, everybody looks up to and respects.
I have so much respect for Doyle. Without him, poker wouldn't be nearly what it is today. He's a true legend of the game.
An icon of our game.
He's a living legend.
There truly is an immeasurable amount of respect for Doyle Brunson amongst all of his peers. Although you get the sense that there's a little bit less from the likes of Tom Marchese's generation.
Marchese calls with 9-7. Doyle suited with 10-5, and he checks. Doyle with an almost 4-to-1 chip advantage here. The flop comes out, and Doyle Brunson has flopped a flush.
Complete air for Marchese. Just a prayer.
He bets 800. Doyle, after checking, just calls.
Tom drawing dead, of course.
Rough card for Tom as he pairs his 7.
Yeah, that's now second pair on the board to the king.
Doyle has checked.
Tom's obviously not going to give Doyle credit for having flopped the flush, and that's going to cause him to bet here, thinking that he may have the best hand.
1,800 to Doyle.
Now, in the event that Tom holds a jack, queen, or ace of diamonds, Doyle may want to put in the raise now and protect this flush, or just call and risk a 4th diamond coming off
All right. All in.
All in.
And Doyle's going to try to put Tom all in.
Almost no chance that Marchese can make this call.
All right, you got it.
Nope, Marchese folds. And Doyle adds to his lead.
Marchese rethinking the events of that hand. Trying to find out what he could have done differently.
You'd be pretty disgusted if I got bluffed there somehow. Hard to imagine.
I had a flush.
Huh?
I had a flush.
Yeah. Turned to 7.
Bill Doyle has almost 44,000 of the 50,000 in chips in play here. Suited Jack 7.
And that leaves Marchese, of course, with vapors. Vapors that Brunson is going to get after right here with Jack high.
Brunson raises to put Marchese all in. And Tom with suited King Trey.
More importantly, without a lot of time to wait for better than that.
So he'll call.
And Marchese makes a call with the King 3 of diamonds.
Tom Marchese's tournament life on the line here in the first round.
Here it comes.
He is taking the best of it. Not by a ton.
And the flop.
King right in the window.
And both players get a piece of this. Kings for Tom. Doyle has a flush draw, however.
Yeah, I felt pretty good about the first card.
Yeah, it looked good, didn't it?
Now it seems somewhat hard to win.
Tom's still the favorite. Doyle with 2 pulls at a spade.
All right, take.
Now 4th Street.
Take a card where I'm not drawing dead.
Turns a 4 of diamonds.
4 of diamonds. Safe card.
Tom needing to fade a spade to double up here.
Doyle needs a spade.
Sounds easy enough, right?
Here's a river.
Hey, no problem. Jack of hearts, and Tom Marchese's still going, doubling up here against Doyle Brunson.
Yep.
He's up into the 12,000 and change range.
Might have had to do my best Phil Hellmuth impression if you got there and just like fall out of my chair.
Tom's got about 15 big blinds. Not a ton of breathing room.
Back to Liv Boeree and Gail Bowman. Blinds at 4 and 800 here as this match is tightened up a bit. Ace King for Gail. She'll put in a raise to 1,600. Suited Ace Deuce for Liv.
You wonder if she'll 3-bet this time.
Just a call.
We haven't seen a lot of just defending the big blind out of Liv Boeree. She tends to want to take the lead.
Flop is Queen 4-9.
Total swing and a miss here for Liv.
Liv is checked.
Gail can't slow down. She's got to fire the continuation bet. Not in the business of relinquishing control of the pot, which she's purchased with that pre-flop raise.
Liv is called. And the turn. Pairs Boeree's deuce.
Wow, what a fortunate card. Liv doesn't know it, but she's just gotten really lucky to make the best hand. No action on the turn.
Check, check, and now 2 pair for Boeree.
This is real bad news. Running aces up for Liv, and she slips it to Gail, giving Gail a chance to do what she thinks might be bluff at this pot or bet an ace.
3,500 to Liv. She just calls and takes down the pot.
Should have raised.
I'm really surprised that Liv didn't check raise the river here. If Gail had an ace and a pair on the flop, she would have bet the turn as well.
All right, elsewhere now. Ellie Alesra looking to advance to the second round for the 4th time in 8 heads-up appearances. Nick Schulman trying to survive.
Here comes the flop.
Schulman only had 64.50 to start the hand.
Flop is 9 deuce Trey.
Player has made a pair.
Not what you want to see with Jack 8.
We go to the turn.
6 outs for Schulman, needing a jack or an 8.
It's a queen.
Queen of clubs on the turn.
And now that card gives Schulman added outs in the form of a 10 for a gut shot.
River brings a 4 of diamonds, meaning Ellie Alesra moves on to the round of 32.
Well done by Alesra. He makes a habit of playing some of the best in the world. And Hastings is up next.
Back to our featured table where the blinds are at 6 and 1,200. Liv Boeree continuing to lead in this match. Ace 4 for Gail.
She's been picking up some pretty good hands.
All in.
And she's raising all in. King 8 for Liv.
That's certainly within the range of hands that Liv feels may be best against Gail here. Really close.
Cool.
Call.
And she's called.
All in.
She'll take her chances with the King 8 up against the Ace 4.
Liv has the chip
3-2
lead,
dog heading to the flop.
in the hand. Ace 4 for Gail. King of hearts, 8 of diamonds for Liv. Right to the flop we go.
Gail hoping to catch a break here. Double up and take the chip lead.
4 in
Flop
the
is
window.
4-5-6. Gail makes
Pair of
bottom
fours
pair.
leads.
But as you see, the percentages really haven't changed much at all. Marie picks up a 7 to hit a gut shot straight as one of her outs.
Turn is 6 of hearts. No help for Liv.
Now Gail's a better favorite. Just
Here's the
needs
river.
to dodge the 7, 8, or king.
And it's a 9.
Rivers
Gail
and
Bowman
9 of
doubles
clubs,
up.
and Gail Bowman has doubled up into the
31,000
lead.
now, and the lead.
Bowman showing a bit of resiliency.
19.
Well, Liv Marie took her shot, but couldn't hit the target. Gail Bowman right back in the mix with her first significant chip lead of the match. First round action continues from Caesars Palace, Las Vegas. We are in the Diamonds bracket. Tom Marchese and Doyle Brunson. Blinds at 6 and 1200. Doyle with a roughly 3-1 chip advantage. King Queen for him.
Marchese just survived an all-in with king high.
And he will raise on the button.
Raise.
Going on Doyle's raise, Marchese squeezes aces.
All in.
Tom's all
Moving
in.
all in.
I call it.
And he's going to get a call.
Doyle makes the call. Aces for Tom Marchese.
Doyle was worried about maybe being up against one ace, but 2 of them? He's in rough shape with king queen.
Pretty convenient time to get aces.
Let's make it exciting. Put one out there.
Yeah, ace 10, 5.
That'll be all right.
Doyle needs to run down.
I'm not sure why players root for flops that would create a possibility for them to lose.
Flop is King 5 deuce.
This is the bigger sweat than I was rooting for. Whew.
King was the first one, too.
I know.
El Marchese needs to fade a king or a queen to double up once again. The turn, 10 of spades.
Need some pain out there, buddy.
Same story, 5 outs for Doyle.
This time, though, if Marchese doubles up, he's going to take the chip lead.
King or queen. If not, Tom doubles up. Here it is.
Tom's thinking no paint, no paint.
And the river.
It's a king.
King of diamonds. And that's how the senior statesman Doyle Brunson moves on into the round of 32.
I feel if we play long enough, it'll be Tom. I got to tell you.
It's all right. It's how it goes some of the time.
Yeah.
This is a classic hand anyway. Aces versus king queen. Aces are.
I'm serious about it. I felt like you were the best.
Yeah, thanks.
Doyle always the gracious victor, and from one main event champ advancing to another looking to survive. Huck Seed with a flush draw, trailing the top pair of Mosin Charania.
Not for long. Seed spikes a king to make the best hand on the turn.
Pair and a flush draw.
Now he just needs to avoid a 10 or 9.
Rivers a 5 of spades, and not only has Huck Seed doubled up, he has left his opponent with 400 in chips.
Stick a fork in him.
Julie is standing by with Doyle Brunson and Tom Marchese.
Tom, you recently sent out a tweet about the different generations of poker players after facing Doyle. Does your view change at all?
Well, my example wasn't for everybody. It's more for like the made-for-TV pros that happened over the time. And Doyle's obviously stood the test of time, and he's still around and playing the biggest games and winning at the highest stakes. So I wasn't talking about him. And either way, I don't think one heads-up match would change my mind too much. But oh well.
All right, and Doyle, you've come across quite a few young whippersnappers in your day. What do you think about Tom today?
I thought that he was probably the better player, just to be frank with you.
What makes you say that?
Just the way he played, the size of his bets, and just his mannerisms. I mean, I never really had a feel for what he was doing. I usually pick up some kind of mini tails on almost every player I ever played, and I didn't against him. So, you know, it's like I said, one match don't make a career.
Well, you are the one that will continue playing on, and you're going to get another young one in Tom Dwan. What do you think about Tom Dwan?
Dangerous.
Sums it up in one word. Thank you.
Okay.
Good luck.
Thank you.
Back to our featured table. Blinds at 6 and 1200, and Gail Bowman still in the lead.
She's got the button, and she's had a lot of aces in this match. Here's another one, ace 7 off.
She'll call.
That's a bit of a different look.
8-6 for Liv.
All in.
And she raises all in. Quick call from Bowman.
Wow. Liv must think that whenever Gail's limping the button, she's weak enough to just go away, and so Liv ships it.
Ace 7.
She got her foot caught in a trap here.
For Liv. Let's see the flop.
And the flop.
Feeling lots of sixes.
Oh,
Ace
she
high,
didn't want to
2
feel that
fours.
ace.
It's going to be hard to win. I need some help.
Liv has a firm grasp of her fate
It's
here.
not the best, is it?
She needs a 5 through an 8 on the turn just to have a shot at winning this pot on the river.
Now the turn.
The turn card.
Another ace,
And
Gail
what a
Bowman.
punctuation mark on this match. Gail Bowman advances to the round of 32.
Oh, there it is. Oh, okay. Well played. Good game. Good luck.
Credit Gail Bowman. She kept her composure when she was down and out and combated Liv's aggressiveness.
Thank you.
Gail will move on to take on Dan Smith in the round of 32.
Well, Gail has mentioned that she wants to use her poker winnings to buy her parents a house. Given how supportive they've been of her choice to go pro, she's one step closer now.
Welcome back to Las Vegas. 7 eliminations of the Diamonds bracket so far. Brian Hastings got past Matt Matros. Joe Sirach eliminated 2012 main event champion Greg Merson. Dan Smith won his first ever NBC heads-up match, defeating Jason Mercier. High-stakes cash game player Tom Dwan sent defending champ Eric Seidel back to New York. Ali Alezra defeated the dangerous Nick Schulman. The legend Doyle Brunson slipped past Tom Marchese. Gail Bowman fought back and sent Liv Bory home. Now just one spot up for grabs in the second round. Mohsen Charania against 1996 main event champion Huck Seed.
And Julie, we joined Mohsen and Huck with Mohsen all in for his last 400.
I was hoping for a better situation when you grimaced.
If he managed to make the worst hand hold up here, he's going to have to do it again about 5 more times before we can bother thinking he's got a shot.
All right, so
Here's the flop.
5, 7, 8.
The flop, a pair of 4s and an ace.
Not very good looking situation for Charania.
Now
Never
turn.
mind the 400 in chips, just the board.
And it's a
Turns a jack of hearts.
Now Charania can hit a jack to chop.
All right, jack of diamonds.
Here's the
He's
river.
rooting for it.
It's a
And
7 of diamonds on the river, and Huck Seed is moving on. The final chair in the Diamonds bracket side of the round of 32 has been filled. So Huck Seed joins Doyle Brunson as the 2 main event champs to advance. Brunson has Tom Dwan in round 2, about as high profile as it gets in this event.
Dwan is certainly used to playing high-profile matches. He's played in the biggest cash games and biggest tournaments in the world.
This is a bigger sweat than I was rooting for.
Got you nicked.
Oh, dear. Dreams are made and broken.
There had to be some history there or something.
I need some help.
Got it. I was ready that time, but
Well played.
For Ollie Najad and Julie Donaldson, Matt Vasgersian saying so long from Caesars Palace, Las Vegas. You've been watching the National Heads Up Poker Championship presented by WSOP.com.
poker keeps me going because of the competition. I was an athlete when I was young. I enjoyed the competition, and when I broke my leg, it eliminated me from all the physical activities that I used to do. And so poker was a way of continuing to compete. And even now at my age, I can still compete with guys that are in their 20s. And besides the lucrative part of it, I think it's the competition that keeps me going.
The most exclusive poker tournament.
Most exclusive poker tournament.
The field has been cut in half,
Cut in half.
One more win.
and I'm in the money.
We play heads up.
Heads up.
Until there's only one.
Only one.
One.
That man
Oh, woman.
walks away with $750,000. $750,000.
Welcome to the round of 32 at the National Heads Up Poker Championship presented by WSOP.com. The clubs and spades side of the bracket competes tonight with a lot at stake. Win one more match and make the money. Take a loss and the wait begins for next year. Let's take a look at the 8 matchups. British online superstar Chris Moorman takes on Daniel Jungleman Cates. At table 2, it is 2 NBC heads-up first-timers. Kyle Julius